fog hangs over the hills of Calabasas. A helicopter moves silently through the gray morning sky. Inside are 9 people: a pilot, a father, his 13-year-old daughter, and a destination that should have been nothing more than another basketball tournament. But somewhere ahead, hidden beyond the clouds, the flight is about to become a tragedy the world will never forget. The man on board had spent his entire life believing that preparation could conquer almost anything. Failure, pain, pressure, doubt. He had turned obsession into 5 championships. He had walked away from humiliation and come back stronger. He had torn his body apart chasing greatness, only to rise again. Millions knew him as the Black Mamba. But before the championships, the records, the fame, there was a kid in Philadelphia who made a decision that shocked the basketball world. At 17, Kobe Bryant skipped college and walked straight into the NBA. He wasn't supposed to become one of the greatest ever. He wasn't supposed to survive the failures that came next. And he certainly wasn't supposed to become a symbol of discipline for an entire generation. But he did. His story would take him from an Italian basketball court to the brightest stage in America. From teenage prodigy to 5-time champion. From scandal and public hatred to redemption. From basketball legend to devoted father. And then, on one foggy morning in California, everything changed. Because the same man who spent his life mastering every detail he could control would face a moment no amount of preparation could stop. This is the story of Kobe Bryant. The boy. The champion. The father. The Black Mamba. And the extraordinary rise of a man whose life ended far too soon. August 23rd, 1978. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. A boy was born into a basketball family. His father, Joe Jellybean Bryant, was a professional basketball player. His mother, Pamela, gave him a name that would eventually become known across the world. Kobe Bean Bryant. But nobody looking at that newborn could have known what was coming. Kobe's childhood would take him far beyond Philadelphia. When his father's NBA career wound down, the Bryant family moved to Italy. And for Kobe, Italy became more than a place to live. It became his first basketball laboratory. He learned to speak Italian. He absorbed the culture. He played soccer. And he spent countless hours watching his father play professional basketball across Europe. While other children were simply growing up, Kobe was studying the game. He watched how players moved, how they created space, how they attacked, how they won. Basketball wasn't just something he enjoyed. It was becoming the language through which he understood the world. Then the family returned to the United States. Kobe enrolled at Lower Merion High School outside Philadelphia, and that's when people began to realize this wasn't an ordinary teenager. His rise wasn't gradual. It was explosive. By his senior year, Kobe was averaging more than 30 points per game. He was breaking scoring records in the Philadelphia area. He was collecting National Player of the Year honors. And he led Lower Merion to a state championship, the school's first in more than 5 decades. Suddenly, college coaches were calling. Scouts were watching. The basketball world was paying attention. But Kobe wasn't interested in taking the traditional path. He didn't want 4 years of college basketball. He wanted the NBA. At just 17 years old, Kobe Bryant made a decision that would change his life forever. He declared for the 1996 NBA draft. The Charlotte Hornets selected him with the 13th pick. But Kobe wouldn't spend his career in Charlotte. The Los Angeles Lakers had been watching. Jerry West, one of the greatest talent evaluators in basketball history, saw something in the teenager. The Lakers acquired Kobe in a draft day trade for Vlade Divac. And suddenly, the 17-year-old kid from Philadelphia was wearing purple and gold. He was walking into the most glamorous franchise in basketball. And waiting for him was a team that had just signed one of the most dominant players the game had ever seen. Shaquille O'Neal. The ingredients for a dynasty were already there. The superstar center. The legendary franchise. The teenage prodigy. But there was one problem. Kobe Bryant was 17 years old. He had never played an NBA game. And the league was about to find out whether the kid who believed he belonged among the greats actually did. The NBA didn't welcome Kobe Bryant with open arms. It tested him. He was 17 years old, surrounded by veterans, playing against men who had spent years earning their place in the league. So, Kobe started on the bench. And when his opportunity came, he discovered something every great player eventually learns. Talent gets you onto the court. It doesn't guarantee that you'll survive once you're there. In the 1997 playoffs against Utah, Kobe wanted the ball when the game was on the line. He got his chance, and he missed. Then he missed again. Then again. 4 air balls. For a teenager, it was humiliation on the biggest stage imaginable. But Kobe didn't hide from it. He went back to the gym. He studied what went wrong. And he worked. The following season, the kid who had been mocked for his playoff failures became the youngest all-star starter in NBA history at the time. Then he won the 1997 Slam Dunk Contest, finishing with a between-the-legs dunk that announced something to the entire league. Kobe wasn't simply trying to survive anymore. He was coming. But the next transformation required a different kind of coach. Phil Jackson arrived in Los Angeles, and everything changed. Jackson brought the triangle offense. The Lakers brought together 2 completely different forces. Shaquille O'Neal was enormous, dominant, almost impossible to stop near the basket. Kobe was explosive, creative, relentless. One destroyed defenses with power, the other attacked them with precision, and together, they became devastating. From 2000 through 2002, the Lakers won 3 consecutive NBA championships. Kobe was no longer the teenager sitting at the end of the bench. He was a champion, a superstar, and increasingly, he was becoming obsessed with something bigger. Michael Jordan. Kobe studied him. The footwork, the fadeaway, the mentality. The way Jordan seemed to become more dangerous when the pressure became unbearable. Kobe didn't simply admire Jordan. He wanted to reach him. And eventually, he developed a mentality that became inseparable from his identity. The Black Mamba. It wasn't about being fearless. It was about becoming so prepared that fear couldn't control the moment. Cold, focused, precise, relentless. Kobe began approaching basketball almost like a science. He studied angles, defensive tendencies, footwork, release points. Every weakness became something to attack. Every failure became another lesson. And every accomplishment created another target. Then came January 22nd, 2006. Los Angeles faced the Toronto Raptors. What happened that night would become one of the greatest individual performances in NBA history. Kobe scored 20, then 30, then 40. Toronto couldn't slow him down. The number kept climbing. 50, 51. 52. The building was watching something that didn't seem possible. By the time the final buzzer sounded, Kobe Bryant had scored 81 points. Only Wilt Chamberlain had ever scored more in a single NBA game. But the significance wasn't simply the number. It was what the number represented. The teenager who had once airballed the biggest shots of his life had become the player nobody wanted taking them against them. The kid who had once been questioned was now feared. Kobe Bryant had crossed another line. He was no longer chasing greatness. He had become one of the game's most dangerous forces. But beneath the championships, the records, and the Black Mamba persona, another story was beginning to unfold. And this one would follow Kobe for the rest of his life. By 2003, Kobe Bryant had everything an athlete could dream of. Championships, fame, money, a place among basketball's rising superstars. But then, almost overnight, the image began to collapse. While in Colorado for knee surgery, Bryant was accused of sexual assault by a 19-year-old hotel employee. He was charged with felony sexual assault. The story exploded across the country. For more than a year, Kobe's name dominated headlines, for reasons that had nothing to do with basketball. Bryant acknowledged that he had committed adultery but maintained that the encounter was consensual. The criminal case was eventually dismissed after the accuser declined to testify. A separate civil lawsuit was later settled out of court. Bryant publicly apologized for the pain his actions had caused while continuing to deny the assault allegation. But even after the criminal case ended, the consequences didn't. His marriage was pushed to the brink. Vanessa Bryant filed for divorce before the couple eventually reconciled. Major endorsement relationships disappeared, and public opinion turned sharply against him. The invincible image of Kobe Bryant was gone. For some people, it would never return. For Kobe himself, there was nowhere to hide. The cameras followed him. The questions followed him. The boos followed him. And every time he stepped onto a basketball court, he carried the weight of what had happened with him. So he did what he had always done when life became unbearable. He worked. He trained. He played. He kept showing up. But there was another storm building inside the Lakers. The relationship between Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal had become increasingly toxic. They had won 3 championships together, but their personalities, ambitions, and visions for the team were pulling them further apart. The superstar center wanted the spotlight. The young guard wanted control. Neither was willing to back down. Eventually, something had to give. In 2004, Shaquille O'Neal was traded to Miami. The partnership that had produced a dynasty was over. And suddenly, there was no Shaq to share the responsibility. No second superstar to blame. The Lakers belonged to Kobe. Now came the question that mattered most. Could Kobe Bryant actually win without Shaquille O'Neal? At first, the answer looked like no. The Lakers struggled. Kobe carried enormous responsibility. Critics questioned his leadership. Others wondered whether his individual brilliance could ever translate into another championship. Then came 2008. The Lakers acquired Pau Gasol. The pieces finally began to fit. Kobe was no longer simply scoring. He was leading. And that season, he won the NBA's regular season MVP award. The Lakers reached the finals. Waiting for them was Boston. And Boston won. The defeat hurt. But Kobe had changed. The player who once demanded control of everything was learning how to lead. The following season, the Lakers returned. This time, they finished the job. Kobe won his 4th championship, and he was named Finals MVP. But one title wasn't enough, because Boston was still there, still standing between Kobe and another championship. In 2010, the Lakers and Celtics met again. 7 games, a brutal series. And in the deciding game, neither team could escape the pressure. Shots weren't falling. Bodies were exhausted. Every possession felt like it could decide history, but the Lakers survived. Kobe had done it. 5 championships, and this one meant something different. The teenager who had once been forced to share the spotlight with Shaq had now built a championship legacy of his own. After the celebration, the cameras found him. Kobe looked toward them and smiled. "I just got one more than Shaq." It was classic Kobe. Competitive to the very end. 5 rings. 2 eras. 1 franchise. But the victory came with a cost. Because the body that had carried Kobe through all those battles was beginning to break down. And the hardest opponent of his career was about to arrive. Time. But every battle leaves a scar. And Kobe Bryant's body was beginning to show all of them. Years of relentless training had taken their price. His knees hurt. His shoulders hurt. His body was carrying the punishment of 20 seasons at the highest level. Then, in April 2013, came the injury that could have ended everything. The Achilles. Kobe had torn one of the strongest tendons in the human body. The kind of injury that can make even elite athletes question whether they'll ever be the same again. But Kobe didn't leave quietly. He walked to the free throw line. He made both shots. Then he walked off the court. It was one final glimpse of the mentality that had defined his career. But this time, the lesson was different. The Mamba could push through pain. He could not push back time. The comeback was difficult. The injuries continued. The Lakers struggled, and the player who once seemed almost indestructible was finally being forced to confront something he had spent his entire career refusing to accept. He was getting older. The game was changing. And eventually, he had to let it go. On November 29, 2015, Kobe published a poem addressed to the game he had loved since childhood. Dear basketball, it was his farewell, not to fame, not to competition, but to the game itself. And on April 13, 2016, the final chapter of Kobe Bryant's NBA career arrived. 20 seasons, 1 franchise, 5 championships, and 1 final game. Most players would have been satisfied simply walking away. Kobe decided to leave with one last performance, 60 points. At 37 years old, the arena erupted. Fans chanted his name. Teammates watched. And for one final night, the old Kobe returned. The shots, the footwork, the confidence, the impossible belief that every possession could still belong to him. Then the final buzzer sounded. Kobe walked off the court. And the career was over. But Kobe Bryant wasn't finished. For the first time in his adult life, there was no NBA season waiting for him. So he built another life. He became a storyteller, a producer, a mentor, and in 2018, Dear Basketball won the Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film. The basketball player had become an Oscar winner. But perhaps his most important role was one the cameras couldn't fully capture. Father. Kobe had 4 daughters, and his relationship with his second daughter, Gianna, known as Gigi, became especially meaningful. She loved basketball, and Kobe saw the same passion in her that had consumed him as a child. He coached her. He studied the game with her. He watched her develop, and he spoke openly about her potential. He believed she could play at the highest level. He even envisioned a future where she could compete in the WNBA. And something had changed. The Mamba mentality was no longer simply about Kobe Bryant proving what Kobe Bryant could accomplish. It was about passing the lessons forward. The discipline, the preparation, the confidence, the refusal to surrender to limitations. Kobe had spent 20 years chasing greatness for himself. Now he was helping someone else chase hers. And for a man who had spent his entire life preparing for the next challenge, his future suddenly seemed full of possibilities. A new career, a new purpose, a daughter following the same game he had once given everything to. It looked like Kobe Bryant had finally entered the most peaceful chapter of his life. Then came January 26, 2020, and everything changed. January 26, 2020. It was a Sunday morning in Southern California. Kobe Bryant wasn't heading to an NBA arena. He wasn't chasing another championship. He was going to a basketball tournament. And beside him was his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna. Gigi. She loved basketball. And her father loved watching her play. That morning, they boarded a Sikorsky S-76B helicopter at John Wayne Airport. 9 people were aboard. Kobe, Gianna, pilot Era Zobayan, and 6 others who were simply beginning what should have been an ordinary Sunday. Their destination was the Mamba Sports Academy in Thousand Oaks. The purpose was basketball. But the weather was deteriorating. Fog covered the area, reducing visibility. The helicopter continued under visual flight rules. Then, above Calabasas, conditions became even worse. At approximately 9:45 a.m., the helicopter entered a rapidly descending left turn. The pilot became spatially disoriented. Seconds later, the aircraft struck a hillside. There were no survivors. Kobe Bryant was 41. Gianna was 13. 7 other people died with them. 9 lives. 9 families. One morning that should have ended with basketball ended in unimaginable grief. The news spread across the world. People refused to believe it. Then confirmation came. Kobe Bryant was gone, and so was his daughter. Basketball arenas fell silent. Players cried. Fans gathered outside the Lakers arena. Murals appeared across cities. Millions mourned a man many had never met. And perhaps the most painful part was how ordinary the trip had been. Kobe wasn't chasing a record that morning. He wasn't trying to win another championship. He was simply a father taking his daughter to play basketball. The official investigation later determined that the probable cause was the pilot's decision to continue under visual flight rules into instrument meteorological conditions, resulting in spatial disorientation and loss of control. There was no comeback this time. No final shot. No next game. Only silence. In the aftermath, Kobe's numbers 8 and 24 became symbols of remembrance, But for Vanessa Bryant and her daughters, there were no championships, records, or tributes that could fill the empty space. Kobe and Gianna were not coming home. A father and daughter had left for a basketball game that morning. They never made it. And the world was left trying to understand how someone who had seemed larger than life could be gone in a matter of seconds. So what remains when the games are over? The answer is more complicated than a trophy case. Kobe Bryant left behind 5 NBA championships, 18 All-Star selections, 1 regular season MVP, 2 Finals MVP awards, 2 Olympic gold medals, 33,643 points, 20 seasons with the Los Angeles Lakers, and an Academy Award. Kobe changed how an entire generation thought about work. Mamba mentality became more than a phrase. It became a philosophy. Athletes adopted it. Entrepreneurs adopted it. Parents taught it to their children. People who had never watched an NBA game found motivation in it. But Kobe's legacy cannot be reduced to inspiration alone. His story was complicated. His career contained extraordinary achievement, but also controversy and personal mistakes. Remembering Kobe honestly means holding both truths at the same time. The greatness was real. So were the flaws. Kobe Bryant was never a perfect person. He was an intensely ambitious one, and a man who kept moving forward. Near the end of his life, the meaning of the Mamba mentality seemed to change with him. It was no longer only about what Kobe could accomplish, it was about what he could pass on. And nowhere was that more visible than in his relationship with Gianna, the daughter he coached, the player whose future he believed in, the little girl who shared his love of basketball. That may be the most powerful image of Kobe's final years. Not the championships, not the 81 points, not even the final 60-point game. A father sitting beside his daughter, talking about basketball, passing something forward. The crash took Kobe and Gianna from their family, their friends, and millions who admired them. But it could not erase what they had already left behind. Kobe Bryant rose from a Philadelphia kid with an extraordinary dream to one of the most influential athletes of his generation. His story was never simply about winning. It was about ambition. Legacy. Because every time an athlete stays late to take one more shot, a piece of that mentality lives on. The Mamba is gone. The work continues. And the mentality remains. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe and turn on notifications. Next we'll cover another ruler who tasted both glory and total destruction. Comment below. Who should be due next?